I can't possibly tell you how many churches there must be in the world that are named the Church of the Good Shepherd. And this doesn't really even depend on denomination. Whether it's Roman Catholic or Lutheran or UCC or United Methodist, there are so many churches that have Good Shepherd somewhere in their title. And rightly so. The story of the Good Shepherd is one that is rooted in comfort. It's about our relationship to Jesus. It's about who Jesus is and who we are in relationship to him. Throughout the Bible, sheep make many appearances. Even in the Hebrew scriptures, in the Psalms, we hear talk of sheep. In biblical times, sheep were sometimes used as sacrificial animals, but also they were a really important part of the economy. Many people derived their livelihood from tending sheep. They were an important part of agriculture in the ancient Near East. But also, sheep are a very important metaphor. They often symbolize God's people. In the ancient Near East, sheep being an important part of agriculture, a shepherd was really an important figure. Sheep, you have to understand, are difficult animals to raise because they require a lot of care, a lot of attention. And so shepherds were actually people that had to have finely honed skills in order to be able to do their job effectively. So the symbol of Jesus being the chief shepherd and God's children being the flock of sheep is a symbol and metaphor that would have made a lot of sense to an ancient Near Eastern audience. It was a shepherd's responsibility to keep the flock together. Sheep and shepherds are symbols of the divine-human relationship. And sheep are rather funny creatures. They require a lot of attention and a lot of guidance. Given our current context, we can read this story with a lens to our contemporary time. With all of the divisiveness in our country right now and all of the division, it seems like the sheep are astray, wandering, perhaps into some very dangerous places. This story reminds us that we need a good shepherd, that we need to be centered, that we need to be brought back to that which is important and that which is holy, that we cannot do this just by ourselves, that sometimes we are distracted by the wrong things. And the one who looks out for us and the one who loves us is the one who wants us to come back into the fold. One thing that I think is important to remember with this story is that Jesus is not so much concerned about where we are geographically, unlike actual sheep who need to be kept in a particular location. Jesus is concerned about the wanderings of our hearts. The Good Shepherd is concerned with our loyalties, our allegiances, and where we devote our time, our attention, and our energy. Being a part of the fold, being a part of the flock, means that we fight for justice in the ways that Jesus would. It means that we don't allow ourselves to wander off and to allow the spirit of the day to seduce us. It means that we don't allow ourselves to believe the lies that we are told that some matter less than others. It means that we keep Jesus' message front and center and we treat our neighbors the way that we wish to be treated. It means that we continue to live as his disciples, and we don't allow that which is false and that which divides us and that which is untrue to distract us from loving all of God's children. Being a part of Jesus' flock means that we love all of the others who are in the flock as well, and those who are outside of it, and all of the sheep of the world. As I mentioned earlier, sheep are rather strange creatures. They're sometimes funny, they're somewhat whimsical, and as you'll have noticed in the PDF that I've sent you, I chose sheep to be front and center today, as fitting with our scriptural text. There is an artist, a French artist, who decided to make a foray into the world of creating decorative sheep. This was something he did in response to a commission to do a particular installation in 1965, and he decided that sheep would be the most appropriate way to capture the mood of the moment. If you read the Architectural Digest article that I included, he featured the following quote. He said, "If you come with a snail as big as a thumb, nobody notices." He said, "You have to go with something immodest and slightly embarrassing." So he decided to go to the show that he was creating this piece for and to bring 24 sheep with bronze faces and bodies made with actual sheep's fur and casters on the legs so that they could be moved easily. Francois, Lalanne's sheep have become a mainstay in interior design and extremely valuable in the art market. A grouping of 10 of them sold for something like $8 million a few years ago. They are hard to come by, but something that are treasured not only for their surreal quality of being rather funny and odd, but also for their craftsmanship and for the artist's reputation and legacy as a craftsman of design that was influential in the 20th century. His wife was also an artist, and I included a video link to a very short clip that will show you their house and their studio and where they lived and worked, and it's very meditative, and there's a certain mood there which I find very interesting, and so I hope you watch that. It's very, very short, and I hope you pay attention to what you key into when you watch this. What objects or items in their rooms of their house do you find resonance with? Do you find to be poignant for you? What feelings do you have as you engage with this physical space, this constructed and built space that was so important for this particular artist? So I would encourage you to take a look at that. I also will note that this is an interesting example of fine art sort of combining with the world of furniture, as people were invited to sort of sit down on these sheep or to sort of lean against them. And you'll see a vintage photograph in the PDF that actually shows just that. Now, today, you would likely not see anybody laying or sitting on one of Lalanne's sheep because they are so economically valuable. However, there is a rather well-known story of Chrissy Teigen sitting on Kris Jenner's Lalanne sheep at a Christmas party after having some wine. And that's not something that you would want to do if you ever find yourself in a house and somebody owns one of these. But there is a picture of this, and so I included that in the PDF as well. So if there's one lesson you can learn, do not sit on Lalanne's sheep today, even if that was something that was okay to do in years past. They are simply today so valuable and so hard to come by. But I think that the truth of this and what I appreciate about it is that Lalanne really understood the nature of sheep. He knew that they were something that seemed so commonplace, something that seemed so boring, but yet he recognized that there was more to them. Sheep speak to our very nature. The fact that each of us have emotional needs, that we need care, that we need attention, that each of us need relationships, that we need to be kept together, that we all need a good shepherd. We need a community. We need a church home. We need support. We are always at risk of being distracted by the wrong thing. We make mistakes, but yet we have the ability to be brought back. We have the ability to be brought back into the fold and to be brought back into the flock. And I think that Lalanne's sheep were so poignant when he brought them to the exhibition in 1965 because they speak to our humanity. And that's what art really is all about. May it be so. Amen.